Frank Gerace is in studio here this morning. Frank, we go way back, don't we?
About 137 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, maybe not quite that far. But
were you a part of the Tough Man contest when that came into town?
Yeah, I coordinated it in Utica, Syracuse, and in Glens Falls. So we had a lot of fun with that. We didn't make a lot of money. We only did it for 4 years. But we were able to contribute to the Boxing Hall of Fame, and I worked with the Hall of Fame for a number of years. And
in the boxing world, you've done a lot of
done a lot of things with them, and we've had some great times with them. They're a great organization, and I can't compliment the volunteers. Just like the Boilermakers, the volunteers make that work.
Yeah. Well, and it's a big weekend. Everything gets underway today.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to have the Turning Stone there to come in and bring in a big fight to coordinate along with the weekend. I think that's really positive.
Yeah, it all works together.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me in. I'm the poor man's Paul Buckley.
Okay.
I work with Paul, and he's a great camera guy. We worked together on In Focus, doing racing from Watkins Glen.
I remember that, yeah.
We did a number of different things. We made a movie for a client of mine down in Cortland, New York. We recreated a fatal hunting accident.
Oh.
And it was quite a to-do because I was close with ESPN at the time and talked to one of the producers there. And when we went down to shoot it, Paul was our cameraman.
Yeah.
We were doing a shooting of a shooting, if you pardon the play on words.
Yeah.
And then ESPN came in while we were doing that and then shot us doing that. So it was a shooting of a shooting of a shooting.
That's really cool.
It's pretty weird.
Can't beat that.
I didn't know that the Dick Cheney incident happened in.
No, this was real, and unfortunately was a fatal accident.
Wow.
And I did a lot of work with ESPN, with motocross, and a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah. I do remember when the Tough Man. I was working at K-Rock at the time.
Yes.
And you brought in Mr. T.
He was outstanding.
People still talk about that interview. He walked in the studio, and just, you think Gallagher took over? Mr. T just took over. And for like 2 hours, he ran the show. It was unbelievable. He was quite a personality. He is quite a personality.
We had him at one of the schools, at Jefferson School in North Utica, and the kids were just outstanding. And he was a good spokesman for.
And he was huge at that time.
Oh, yeah,
when we did that,
really
he was right in the.
I pity the fool.
I pity the fool.
Did that.
Yeah.
That was his line, and he was a character.
Yeah,
and he
was really
is.
good.
He still is.
Yeah.
So I want to say too that I think a friend of mine in high school, her father worked at he was a principal of like a school. It was like an alternate education school for maybe like troubled kids or something like that. And he told me that Mr. T, without any publicity or anything, showed up at the school one time just out of the blue.
Well, that would have been this time.
And gave. He
gives a great, inspiring speech. Talks about kids, and
when
he did really well.
I brought
with
him
kids.
in, the first thing he said is, "Frank, I want you to understand one thing. This is not about publicity. I want to go to the school you've picked out for me, but I want to go to 3-4 other schools, and don't tell the press. This is just the kids."
Yeah, that's big.
And he meant it.
Yeah,
and he did it.
All right, you're here for something completely different here today, though. You've done some research on rising gas prices.
I've done some. It's not complete yet. That's why I put you off for a day, and I'm still not complete.
Okay.
One of the things that I took notice of was how many different gas stations and gases there are, or fuel.
Yeah. Does a lot of it have to do with the companies that are supplying the fuel?
It has to do with two companies.
Okay.
And if no more than a quarter mile from you are the huge Hess tanks.
Right down the street
which
here.
I'm told are no longer in use. They're basically empty. They spent a lot of money to buy them, and they're empty.
They used to have the best gas prices, Hess.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. And now I stopped the other day and spoke to a gentleman who manages Buckeye Fuel, which is now the source of all the fuel that we buy from, I don't care what service station we buy, it basically is Buckeye Fuel.
So you're saying one supplier for this area?
literally one. There's also Buell.
I see Mirabato. Is that
Marabito?
Yeah,
Yep.
is that what that is?
They are another one too, but a much diverse one.
They're not in a lot of locations.
No.
Yeah.
No,
is
but
Buell Fuel more like oil tanks and stuff like that, or are they doing
gasoline
gas for car?
Gas.
they do primarily the oil tanks. But here on River Road, just down the road from us,
Here it's
the
gas.
biggest-
This is gas here.
yes,
It's all
the biggest operation they have is Buckeye Fuel, and the reservoir or source for it, not source, but where they retain it, is below ground. It's not above ground.
Okay.
And when people drive by there, if they'll take a notice, they will see different fuel trucks there from different firms. You're seeing Fast
To be
Track
honest with you,
and-
the Mirabato, whatever it is,
Yeah.
I saw them pulling in there yesterday.
There you go. It's
So-
different all the time.
Oh, so they're getting their gas from the same
Everybody
supplier.
is basically buying our gas from the same place.
Okay.
And no matter what brand it may be, this is
right.
where they get it from. And that may have something to do with the price of gas. What I tried to do in just about the last 10 days is keep track of the gas prices, because there's something strange going on here. And we've known this for a long time, but we're not able to put our finger on it.
The strange is that we're paying more than elsewhere.
A lot more.
Yeah.
Go 12 miles to Rome, or 14 miles.
Yeah,
It's quite
sure.
certain too. And they're 10 to 15 to 20 cents lower than us. Now, why?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense.
And you go down in the valley, and they're paying more than
They
us,
are.
or at least the equivalent of us. So I did took the oil prices right out of the Utica Daily Press. On May 28th, the price of gas went down $3.40 per barrel. Memorial Day, the 29th, there was nothing
Right.
in then.
Yep.
On May 30th, price went down another $1.15. May 31st, it went up plus $1.48. June 1st, it went down $1.17. June 2nd, it went down $1.23. June 3rd, it went down $2.07. June 4th, it went down $1.06.
So cost per barrel is going down, but
Yeah.
we're not seeing that at the
We're
pumps.
not seeing it here, because what happens here, in fact, this is the weirdest thing. Price can go down that much, even though we saw the prices of gas going up the last few weeks, as much as $5, $6, you do the figures,
Yeah.
$8.
Yeah.
We
Wait.
went down 5 cents.
Right.
Now, that's a little bit absurd.
So
I'm
do you
not
think
saying-
this is almost they have a bit of a monopoly on the market
Gee,
here? Yeah.
I don't want to use that word.
Yeah.
It's strange you should use that word.
Right.
I wonder what's going
I'm
on.
a Parker Brothers fan.
I'm going to do. You know, the nice thing about you staying in this area, Bill, is you are one of the few people in the area in radio. And I don't mean to knock anybody else. It's not a knock at anybody else. But you've devoted yourself to the community. You have been a person who's not afraid to ask questions. And yet you haven't taken a political rant. You're on a Fox network station. That's fine. I personally don't care for Fox, at least the TV end of it.
Yeah,
But the radio end is somewhat fair. And one of the other things I noticed that you mentioned earlier this morning was Mike Hopkins. I
Yes.
just heard you talking
Yeah.
about that, and what a great guy he is. Now,
How about
another
he just gave out,
basketball.
for those who didn't hear, he just handed out, he won $15,000 bonus for being the Pac-12 Coach of the Year. He just handed out $15,000 in gift cards for free coffee for everybody.
Well,
it's a great way to win over a community.
I don't want to knock Jim Boeheim because you said he wouldn't do such a thing.
Yeah.
He would do such a thing, but that's because he's making such a salary
You're right.
and bonuses and
The money's
everything all
good.
over the place.
Yeah.
But mentioning Mike Hopkins, now there was a guy who was a reasonably good college ball player.
Yeah.
Another guy who was a great basketball player was Jerry McNamara.
Yeah.
We all know the 5 overtime win and
Incredible,
everything
yeah.
else. But one of the things is, if you've ever listened to a Jerry McNamara show, he is a Trumpite like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, is he really?
And,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
To the point that I can't listen anymore.
You're not a Trump, so you're not a Trump person.
No, I'm not a Trump person because basically I don't want to get political, but I honestly think if you look at the man's track record as an individual, he's broken every rule in the book. I don't mind people breaking rules, but don't cheat. And that's his whole career has been.
I want to go back to the gas if we could. And so so you're, based on the research that you're doing, this is basically basic economics, statistics. You're looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
You believe that we are now reduced down to the point where there's one supplier, so there's no competition. And that's something that Ed Welch has talked about, that we have a lack of competition here, which is why he welcomed Stewart's when Stewart's coming in. And that gas might be coming from somewhere else. I don't know if you know
right now, the lowest price on gas, I will tell everyone, that I can determine is Safeway. They're not a lot lower, but they're consistently lower.
Yeah.
Speedway?
Speedway, Safeway. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yep. Well, and a lot of that's to do where they're getting their gas from.
Yes.
So, and there's a lot of pressure on the smaller gas dealers because they have to pay in advance. When that gas comes, they have to pay in advance. And if the price goes up, they have to pay that difference, and it's hard for them to raise the prices. It's a real challenge.
And if you remember a few years ago, a couple of smaller stations tried to keep the gas down.
Yes.
They were basically forced out of business.
A lot of went out of business.
Yeah. And
all right, so what do we do? What can people do?
I don't know. I wish I had a brilliant answer for you and for me and for everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just be conscientious. I would say don't reward the stations that have higher prices and have a convenience store by going in and buying even a pack of gum from them. That's the only thing I could say.
So a good old-fashioned boycott.
And search out. So it's worth searching out a place that has a lower gas price. Worth going to that place.
Yep.
Because it has a lower, and they're not gouging you.
It's funny he mentioned a boycott because I can think back, that's 50 years now. That's how old I am. That I led a boycott at Utica College in my junior year, and we ended up in the New York Times. They sent a reporter up here and everything else, and we did this the proper way. We didn't cause any grief. All we did was boycott the cafeterias. But that's another story.
You didn't burn down the downtown or anything like that?
No. It's a crazy world, Frank.
We thought about it, but
Frank, and I want to say to you, your commitment to this area is outstanding, and I appreciate your kind words. But what you've done is invested in this area, taken risks, and launched things like the Tough Man Contest, and
that
all
was
sorts
just
of
a
things,
small thing. I like to think I've helped my clients having my own agency.
Yeah.
I sold the agency a number of years ago. I'm now working on an international project I can say it now because it'll be coming out shortly. And I'll come back to talk to you about that. You'll get an exclusive on this with Barilla Pasta. I'm working on a worldwide promotion for them.
Wow.
Which is going to make me, I hate to say a millionaire, but literally it will. But what I'm going to be doing with at least half of that money will be giving it away to schools in the area.
That is,
and to other because in my age, I have no children. I have nieces and nephews. They'll be taken care of. But Anita Vitullo is a perfect example. Today's paper of what she's done with her business.
Yeah.
And if I can emulate her in any way, I won't be able to probably have that much money, but I'll have a good sum of money.
To give back is important. And education is the place. That's where you give an opportunity to a child.
Yeah.
So, Frank Gerace, you're a good man.
Thank
I
you
appreciate
for the
it.
kind
And
words.
let's talk about this again. And when you're ready to talk about the pasta, I'm all in. I like their little penne. They do the very small penne. I don't know what it's called. It's a number.
One of the things we're doing on this, and I don't want to take any more time, but one of the things we're doing on this is creating something that another fellow Utican, a friend of mine that I work with in Syracuse on the Onion Olympics, when I had
Yeah.
them at the in Canastota at the ARC with the Madison Oneida Boces and
Yeah,
ARC. Anyhow, the guy who I'm working with, who's the brilliant artist on this, you may remember him. You're old enough. I don't know about the other two guys
They're
here.
not. Yeah.
Mike Cariglio is from Whitesboro.
Mm-hmm.
He was known as Pappy Druitt.
Oh yeah, I know of him.
Let's see, you
Yeah.
do know.
Oh yeah.
And he did all the artwork on this, and we're getting it animated now out of a
Wow.
firm out of Buffalo who works with Pixar, so we know it's going to be good.
Gonna be huge.
And the people of Barilla are very excited about it. So
Is it
I'm
where?
excited.
Where is that? Is it an Italian brand or is
Yes,
it?
it is.
It is.
Italian. They're in Bari, Italy.
Okay.
We're going over to Italy this fall to sign everything
Very
and
big.
put that down. And,
I'm excited about
and
that.
They may be. They're in 200 countries.
Yeah.
They may take this, their newest place, thanks to McDonald's. The biggest thing in China right now is McDonald's cheeseburgers, because the Chinese are discovering cheese.
Wow.
And we have cheese children in this program.
That's
So,
really cool. All right, I can't wait to get you back here to talk about that.
Thank you for inviting
Frank
me.
Gerace, good man. Thank you. We'll break.